Now, I want you to grade your own test. I want you to see your own results. Number 1, that was agape. Number 2, that answer was agape. Number 3, what kind of love should you have for the father and mother? Well, that's, according to them, a casual, friendly love. Number 4, to know that I loved thee. That is agape. Number 5, phileo. Number 6, what kind of love do those Pharisees have for those uppermost rooms? That's phileo love. Number 7, what kind of love do you have for your life? That's phileo. Number 8, those uppermost seats, agape. Apparently they kind of just sort of like the rooms, but boy, those seats, oh. Number 9, what kind of love does God the Father have for His Son? Phileo. Number 10, what kind of love does God have for you? Phileo. Number 11, lovers of pleasure, phileo. Number 12, now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus with agape love. But yet, the beloved disciple whom Jesus loved, that's just phileo. And you're probably starting to wonder, now wait a minute, this isn't making sense. That's right, it's not. Number 14, God's love, phileo. If you don't have the love of Jesus Christ, well, that's phileo. God gives His love towards us, that's agape. Number 16, the love that Paul has for us, agape. Number 17, the spirit of love you should have is agape. Brotherly love is phileo. And love one towards another is agape. As you can see, these are meaning the same thing. Now women loving their husbands, that's phileo. Men loving their wives, that's supposed to be agape. That means I'm supposed to just totally adore my wife and she can just look at me and say, "Yeah, you're okay." No, I disagree. I think these all mean the same. Number 2, love the brotherhood. This time it's agape. My. 23, brotherly love. Hey, that's back to phileo again. And more love of God is agape, and the love of God is phileo. At this point, you should be saying, all this stuff, it's not making sense. Exactly. If you go by the rules in these Greek grammar books that all these theologians want you to have to consult because they don't think you have the entirety of God's Word, well, you're going to be misled. Do you think the guy that wrote the Greek grammar book knew more than Jesus, Paul, Peter, and John? When you come across someone who wants to expound upon the Greek, try and remember, they're not evil. They're just usually someone who thinks they are enhancing our understanding. They don't view what they're doing as correcting God's Word. Oh no, I don't correct God's Word. I'm enhancing God. That's what they'll think or say. But I have got a question for them. How do you make round rounder? If God leveled the field, do you really think you're going to find a high spot? Now in Matthew chapter 16, Jesus reminds His disciples about the different times when large numbers of people were fed. There's a point to this, don't worry. It says, do you not yet understand, neither remember the 5 loaves of the 5,000, and how many baskets you took up? Neither the 7 loaves of the 4,000, and how many baskets you took up? Well, I've got the words baskets underlined for a reason. These are different Greek words. Now, Some Greek scholar is probably going to tell me, well, these baskets in this verse, those are deep, intimate, selfless baskets. And these baskets down here, well, these are just casual, friendly baskets, right? Right. Now, here's a verse, 1 Thessalonians 4:9, has love as phileo, and then later at the bottom of the verse has love as agape. These are the same kinds of love. Phileo and agape mean the same thing. Don't believe what a Greek grammar book tells you all the time. 1 Peter 1:22. You have love the brethren, phileo, and then in the same verse, love one another, agape. They mean the same thing. That's all. Now let's go back to John chapter 21. You know, the verses that caused all this trouble. Let's look at the sheep this time. Here we are, verse 15. It's basically the last few words of each verse. Feed my lambs, feed my sheep, and feed my sheep. Well, what's so special about this? Well, Jesus used different words each time. Jesus does this quite often. He uses more than one word to describe the same thing. Lovest thou me, lovest thou me, lovest thou me. The King James guys say, hey, he's asking the same thing each time. Just because he uses different words. Now you want to get out your calculator because you consult the Greek grammar books, and you go, wow, he asked 2 times agape and 1 time phileo. Well, but the key is in verse 17. He said unto him the 3rd time. Oh, he did? According to you Greek grammar guys, he never asked the same thing 3 times at all. He asked lambs and sheep, and he asked agape and phileo. According to you guys, he's just talking about different things each time. But notice that right here in this old-fashioned English Bible, right in the text, we had the answer all along. We didn't have to go through all that Greek grammar test, 25 questions of this, discussing phileo and agape. The answer's right here. Peter was grieved because he said unto him the 3rd time. Why, what did he ask you 3 times, Peter? Simple. He asked, do you love me? Now this is in response to Peter denying him 3 times, and he's just kind of bringing Peter back to a little bit of reality here. But that old archaic English text told us all we needed to know in the first place. You waste time if you go to the Greek. In fact, there's nothing like a good old English Bible to clear up a lot of this Greek nonsense. So are you saying we shouldn't study Greek? No, I'm not saying that. You can study anything you want to. But I think you'd be better off just studying your basic English Bible that you got in the first place. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ which strengthen me. Now you want to explain this to me? That's in our own English words. And yet it's hard to explain. I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. Oh, really? Do you still sin? Why? I thought you could do all things. You think the Greek is going to help you out? If you have a Bible that breaks a rule of a Greek grammar book, then pitch the grammar book.